Boom. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Monday to you all, and welcome to another live beer review. Today we're going to be looking at a very interesting one that I'm actually really excited to try just because I love beers from Imprint Brewing Company. I think I've only had their sours so far, but they decided to collaborate with a brewery that I've been hearing their name all over Untapped when it comes to this one. If you guys have been watching my reviews for a while, a lot of the times when I'm doing reading off like a similar beers list, for some reason the answer shows up pretty frequently on a similar beer for a lot of the stuff I drink. And this time, we actually have one where Imprint actually collaborated with the answer to come out with this Schmoojee juice. It's a sour ale with coconut, orange, pineapple, passion fruit, and a very interesting green ingredient that I'm really intrigued by, seeing if it does anything to flavor. But it's made with spirulina, I think it's called. Spirulina is actually an algae that grows in warm lakes and stuff in like southern Central America and Africa. Very high in like vitamin C and high in vitamin C. There's protein. There's high in iron, magnesium. So there's definitely health benefits to it. I guess you could say it's kind of like a seaweed. It's considered an algae, but I'm really curious to see what that is going to do to the beer, or maybe it's just in there for color. I'm not sure. I was very surprised to know that these guys came out with a beer that actually had like almost like a seaweed or an algae to it. I mean, a lot of times when you're making beer, sometimes you actually add like moss and like Irish moss, super moss, definitely like seaweedy kind of stuff in there. But I'm really curious to see if that's going to do anything with the flavor. I'm not sure, or anything like that. But of course, when it comes to drinking something that is very heavy like this, when it comes to it being a fruited sour, because anything from Imprint is going to be heavily fruited. Like a lot of times when I'm pouring it, there's not really a huge amount of carbonation, to be honest. So it's maybe lightly carbed. But there's a couple things that I always recommend when it comes to drinking this kind of style of beer. First of all, when you buy it, bring it home, store it in the fridge at all times. Keep it in the fridge. You want to drink it that fresh. You want to make sure that stuff is cold at all times because the fruit puree in there still has the opportunity to ferment if it's left out in room temperature and all that kind of stuff, and that's what would cause like CO2 buildup in the can, and that's what you would kind of see when somebody opens a fruited sour that's heavily fruited and it starts oozing out and like overflowing on them. It's most likely because the fruit in there decided to ferment a little bit more and cause a little bit of a CO2 buildup inside of the can. So the moment you crack it open, there's only one place where that kind of pressure and flowing everything out is going to go, and that's going to come right out the opening. So of course, keep that stuff refrigerated at all times. Second of all, when you take it out of the fridge when you're going to drink it, just give it a couple rolls on the countertop. Just slow rolls, give it back and forth, make sure that all the stuff is suspended in there. You want to make sure everything is kind of going fully through the beer so you have a pretty even pour. And then last but not least, what I like to do personally is when I'm bringing it to where I'm going to drink it, I like bringing it upside down, just because a lot of the stuff that was either sitting at the bottom is going to start getting suspended fully through the can. And so it'll help you get a nice even pour. So I'm pretty damn excited to give this guy a try. I'm not 100% sure where a lot of these tart flavors are going to come from. I'm most likely thinking it's probably going to be from like maybe the passion fruit. I don't think the orange is going to add tartness. Maybe the pineapple. Maybe like an unripened pineapple is going to add a little bit of a tartness to it, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty damn excited. It's supposed to be this could be like a kind of like a rum-soaked pineapple cocktail feel to it. That's what they're kind of given on Untapped and kind of given the vibe for this beer. So, yeah, and there's definitely, this beer's definitely going to have a little bit of a weird color to it for some people, so I will show you guys when I pour this, but let's crack this thing open and see what it's like on the nose. But just so I can be curious and just so I can be cautious, I do have a towel down just in case if anything decides to start overflowing. I'm not going to make a mess of my room. So let's crack this thing open and see what it's like on the nose. Okay, so not a lot of foaming over happened. I'm looking at it right away, and that color is definitely going to be interesting. So it's very packed with fruit. I think this is going to be absolutely delicious. It has a nice, almost tropical fruit smell to it. Yeah, it tastes pretty damn delicious. So let's pour this guy. I'm going to be drinking out of my Whistle Punk glass this afternoon. Let's pour it. Oh, yeah. Looking at this fucking beer. Yeah, look at that. Very thick. Lots of fruit puree in there. Give it a little bit of a swirl. and pour the rest of it in. Look at the color of this beer. Very, very green. Well, it's a very light, almost green kind of hue to it, which I think is very interesting. There's a lot of puree going in this one. That's one of the most kind of, yeah, so spirulina is green, I believe. So maybe it's in here adding color. I'm not sure, but just have everybody look at the color of this beer. It has a very, very light green. Almost have, I'm going to take a couple sips off this just to make sure the head doesn't foam over. But yeah, the flavors I'm getting just from like, it's ectoplasm. It literally looks like ectoplasm, so I think it's pretty funny. So it's hard to almost really hard to distinguish which is the head and which is the beer, but you can kind of see it from that line right there. So the beer has a very, very light green kind of color. I know, Ian, this isn't what you're into, but this is just packed full of fruit flavors. From what I'm getting from just getting the foamy part and a little bit on my mustache, it just tastes like a fruitier kind of cocktail. Not really tasting like a beer whatsoever, which is definitely really, really intriguing. And that's what kind of brings me into this kind of stuff. What I really enjoy about this kind of style of beer, especially when it comes to people adding a lot of fruit puree into it, is they almost take away the flavors of a beer, even though it's brewed the exact same way, but just with the amount of fruit in there, it doesn't even taste like beer. So anybody that I recommend that isn't somebody who likes the flavor of beer, to give these kind of style of beers a try, because you will be very, very impressed in how fruity and how like almost non-boozy. It tastes like a fruit kind of like juice situation. But yeah, definitely has a very interesting color to it for sure. A good amount of head. I'm doing just because this was probably a decent carbonated beer. But right off the drinking the foam a little bit, getting loads and loads and loads of pineapple. Definitely surprised that, yeah, it's definitely out there, Ian. Not really getting a lot of the coconut, which I think is nice. I'm not really seeing the aspects of adding the spirulina, I think it's called. I don't know if I'm saying it right. But I'm thinking it maybe is in there just to add the color. That's the only thing I can think of. It's not really getting any kind of flavors in there, like a seaweed kind of flavor. I don't think. You're just getting loads and loads of tropical fruit in this one, and it's pretty damn delicious. Definitely delicious. So let's look over here at Untappd, and if you can't get your hands on this one from Imprint and the answer, Untappd does a really cool thing to where they show similar beers to what you're looking at, so you could possibly pick something up and get a similar drinking experience. So let's take a look and see what they offer here. Yeah, it's delicious. I'm definitely going to be pouring a little bit more. This is a thick one. She is a thick one for sure. Thick with like 3 C's, I think this one should be. But let's look here. So we got one here from Entitled Art, which is their Tiki Sour, which looks like pineapple, mango, coconut, key lime. So yeah, bringing in nice tropical fruit flavors. That's going to definitely be more of like, still have a little bit more carbonation. Not going to be as thick. But I think you could probably get some pretty some similar flavors from this one from Entitled Art. We got one here from King's Brewing Company called the Froze Blackberry Puff, which is a 7% fruited sour made with blackberry, blueberry, cherry, grape, double vanilla, and double marshmallow. Which definitely is going to be there for mouthfeel, I think. But you're not getting any berry flavors in this one, so I'm probably not going to recommend that one. And let's see. We got one here from 450 North Brewing Company, which is their XL Flamingo Friends, which this looks like it's more of a berry kind of base as well, so I'm not really going to suggest that one. Let's see. We got one here from Morgan Territory Brewing, which is called the Glorious Mango Lime, which looks like almost, it's like a fruited sour, but definitely has a little bit more characteristics of maybe like a kettle. Almost definitely maybe have a thicker kind of mouthfeel, but I feel like those are going to bring it off a little bit more tart flavors when this one is just strictly fruity. And the last one we got here is from Great Notion Brewing, which they collaborated with Slice Beer Company, which is the Freshly Sliced. So let's say that it is a strawberry, kiwi, mango, pineapple sour, which, let's see, a classic tart fruit. Great Notion definitely has the kind of realm of doing that lactobacillus kind of souring when it comes to a lot of their kettle sours. So that Great Notion one's definitely going to be on there to probably be the tartar one out of all these listed. But to be honest, just because if I was able to see, I don't think there's any similar one here that's going to be, you're going to be getting the tropical fruits and the mouthfeel along with it. But I think if you had like the flavors and the fruit they used in this Untitled Art Tiki Sour with the kind of mouthfeel and just like how much fruit they're adding in it with like how you would see the 450 North one would be, and put those together, so did the like a 450 North variant of the Tiki Sour, you would get something pretty close to this, I think, except with the not so green color to it. Ectoplasm, yes. Spirulina, okay. Spirulina, I think that's what we're going to kind of stick with how it's said. But when it comes to just flavor, I'm probably going to pick this Tiki Sour to be the most similar. When it comes to mouthfeel, of course, the 450 North one's going to have that very similar, creamy, almost fruity, smoothie-like mouthfeel. But if I didn't mention before, this guy comes out to a 6% ABV, so not really high in ABV at all. Definitely something I would consider sessionable. But there's a lot of fruit in this one, a lot of fruit. And the flavors are pretty damn delicious. Doesn't even taste like a beer. But it's just really, really good. And looking here, showing some verified locations for anything from Imprint or maybe this collaboration beer with the answer itself. Let's see, we got a place called Toss, which is in Olympia, Washington. It's like a bar / arcade kind of situation. Then we got a place called Fair Del Craft Beer in Syracuse, New York, which carries some Imprint stuff, it looks like. Definitely has some fruited beers, fruited sours, all that kind of stuff. Then we got a place in Tacoma, Washington, which is the Peaks and Pints Bottle Shop, Tap Room, and Eatery. So it's a sandwich place, beer store, pub, all that kind of stuff. So, but it doesn't look like their Untapped page is kind of up to date because it's not showing anything on there, but who knows. Let's see, we got a place in Rockland, California called the Sunset Mart. And then we got a place in Powell, Ohio called, come on, load, which is the Ale, Wine, and Spirits of Powell. So a bunch of places that are showing as verified locations for anything from Imprint or maybe this collaboration beer itself. So maybe if you're any of those areas, want to take a look, and maybe you can find some Imprint beers over there near you. But let's see what they show up as the description for this guy on Untapped. So what they say here is our first smoothie juice can dreamt up with our RVA homes. The answer features passion fruit, orange, coconut, rum-soaked pineapples, and blue spirulina, which is super bright and green. May the luck of the Irish be with us all. One of the 3 collabs with our buddies, 6% ABV. So apparently they did 3 collabs with the answer, and this is one of the first ones they did with them. So rum-soaked pineapples, that sounds absolutely delicious. So maybe like they mixed rum and the pineapple puree in there. I think that's pretty cool. I'm interested in how it's a blue spirulina and then it still has a nice kind of green color. So I wonder if there's different like species of spirulina out there to where it's maybe sometimes a little bit more of a color difference when it comes to how it's going to be in there. I don't know if the spirulina actually is blue when they add it and just somehow it's green, or maybe the spirulina still has a good kind of green color to it, which is helping add to the very, very bright, almost ectoplasm green that this beer brings off. So actually, I'm going to see if I can pour a little bit more in there. The stuff at the bottom of the can is getting thick. It's definitely some of the thicker stuff coming out at the end, which I am not upset about one bit. So, of course, I stated before we start looking at the ratings and see if any of any friends, those people who check this one in, let's look and see if we can find the rest of the information on this guy. So, like I said before, 6% ABV. Would not consider this something that is unsessionable for sure. I would definitely put this in the realm of being sessionable. You can have a couple of these, not even feel like you're drinking a beer, and probably be perfectly fine. I think this is the kind of beer, in my opinion, that's very dangerous due to it not tasting like beer and having just heavily fruited to where it just tastes like you're drinking a smoothie. Almost like kind of like a cocktail. You get more of a boozy cocktail than a beer. And with over 1,072 ratings, this one has an average rating of 4.24 out of 5, which is pretty damn phenomenal. And I know a lot of stuff from Imprint when it comes to their fruited sours is usually very, very highly rated. So let's look at my friends list and see if there's anybody who checked this one in. It looks like there is. So this guy, he's a friend of mine on Untapped. His name's Tyler Seisling, or Selsing, and he's a Untapped moderator to be able to adjust stuff when it comes to descriptions of beers and all that stuff. So he drank this one, and he gave it a 4.25 out of 5, saying out of Hartfield, Pennsylvania. Cheers. So yeah, he gave it a pretty good rating. Let's see. So let's look at the global rating and see what other people had to say about this guy. So this person gave it a 3.5, saying would be better with less coconut, which to me, I'm not getting a crazy amount of coconut in this. I'm definitely having that rummy kind of pineapple, like almost rum pineapple, like cocktail flavor coming through the most. Not really getting a lot of passion fruit. Not really getting a much of like tartness in this whatsoever either. I mean, yeah, I don't really get any tartness to this one. It's definitely just tastes more like a fruit smoothie to me. And plus, I'm not really getting a lot of the coconut either. To me, the pineapple is definitely the most predominant flavor coming out of this one. And because it's probably a fruit with a lot of stronger flavors in it, so I doubt that there's no way I think you would have done this one where the pineapple wasn't going to be the most predominant flavor in this one, just because the rest of the stuff you add in there doesn't really have a crazy strong, like hit you in the face kind of flavor like pineapple does. So let's see what else we got here. We got a 3.75 here saying looks like pool scum, tastes like a creamy tiki drink. I don't know, maybe I'm not chill enough for tiki. So I think that's pretty funny, and that that he described it as pool scum. So okay, yeah, I'm not really getting any of the like this tastes like the sea, not really getting earthiness, not really getting any sulfuric or fishy kind of taste to it. But yeah, to me this is absolutely delicious in my opinion. But let's look back here at Untappd and look at more ratings. I just really think it's funny that this guy said it looks like pool scum. What else we got here? We got a 4.25 out of 5. We got a full 5 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5 purchased at the Answer Brew Pub, and he just said pool scum. Let's see, we got a 4.75 out of 5 purchased off Divorce, saying very, very good, bright green due to the spirulina, but then you don't taste it. Well balanced, creamy yet refreshing at the same time. Yeah, 100% agree with this guy. Another 4.5 purchased off Divorce. We got a 3.75 saying literally a smoothie, which yeah, definitely would agree with that one. 4.25 here says reminds me of a spirulina bowl from a Sunrise Shack in Hawaii. Just added alcohol and you get green juice, very subtle sweetness, which is really nice. Yeah, I don't really say this is subtle in sweetness. I think it packs full of sweetness, to be honest. Let's do 2 more. We got a 4.25 here, and the last one we're going to look at is a 4 out of 5 rating. But yeah, some pretty good ratings on this one, I guess. Well, there's a couple of like 3.75s to people that maybe aren't into the crazy like smoothie-like consistency and mouthfeel that this beer is. But to me, you don't really get any of those like ocean, sea, sulfuric kind of flavors that the spirulina usually brings off from what Ian posted in the chat. To me, you're just getting loads and loads of tropical fruit. Almost have like a tiki kind of tropical smoothie in like Hawaii or something like that. This definitely tastes like I'm on a trip, sitting by the ocean and just enjoying, having a couple drinks, and just I want to be at the beach drinking this beer. That's what I want to do. I want to be drinking this with under an umbrella, watching the waves. But yeah, delicious. The only thing about this one with the heavily amount of fruit, and it sticks in the fucking beard, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like beer kind of sitting in my mustache and all that stuff, but I guess that's the sacrifice of facial hair. So overall, pretty fantastic ratings on this one, I would say, so far. So let's start going through and seeing what we're going to be doing for ratings on our end with this guy. And let me see if I can pour the rest of this into the glass. I think I pretty much can. At this point, yep, was able to pour the rest of it in there. And the first thing we're going to look at is can art, because Imprint doesn't really go too crazy when it comes to detail and a lot of intricate like designs and pictures and all that stuff on their can art, but they do take advantage of a lot of different like colors and all that kind of stuff with it, so you get like almost like an ink blotch kind of colorway. I wish the colors kind of matched with the fruit that they use in there to kind of give you in the vibe of like getting an idea of what there's in there. So I wish there was more yellows, maybe some oranges, a little bit of whites in there for the coconut, maybe a little bit of green in there for the spirulina. But overall, this color is pretty damn awesome. I love like the blotches, like the splash of paint on there. Maybe it kind of reminds me of like when you go to a car wash, those like special colored car washes to where when you see it spraying on your windshield, it's almost like having those like pink and like how it's like the highlighter color kind of stuff going down your windshield. But yeah, this is definitely still something that would catch my attention at a liquor store or bottle shop. And the more I look at this one, it actually looks like that's what it's supposed to be, having that like running down your windshield, very highlighter colored neon kind of shit going on with it. But yeah, can art's fine. It doesn't really speak to what's in the beer. Sometimes I like when there's a theme, and when you're drinking a beer, looking at the label, I want to get an idea of what I'm be drinking before I drink it. Sometimes people do that with pictures. Sometimes people do that with adding the fruits on that are in the beer on the label itself. But this one doesn't really have anything to do with what the beer is, but that's the only kind of downfall in it, even though the colors are really nice. I'm probably going to give this, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Pretty cool. Definitely something that would catch my attention. I would probably catch my attention a little bit more if it had the colors of the fruits in there and possibly stick into like a theme as well. But overall, let's see here. If I got this beer in a flight, either at The Answer or at Imprint Brewing Company or Imprint Beer Co., would I get another one? Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. I love the flavors going on with this one. Doesn't taste like a beer. Almost looks like pool scum / ectoplasm, which I think is a pretty funny kind of twist. It just makes me laugh every time I look at it in the glass, because it's not a normal looking beer, that's to say the least. So it would definitely be something that if you drank it at a liquor store, or like if you drank it in public somewhere, you would definitely get people looking at you for sure, being like, what the hell is that? And I think that's just part of the whole like appeal to it whatsoever. But let's see here. This is definitely one that I would also kind of get a 4-pack to see if I can bring it home, because I think the flavors of this stuff is absolutely like explosive, in your face fruitiness. Doesn't give you like that soaked rum, like Malibu kind of flavor that you kind of are weary of. You don't want to taste any other kind of booziness. I just want to taste a lot of fruit, maybe a little bit of tartness. Not really getting any tartness in this whatsoever. I'd probably give this like a 0.5 out of 5 for tartness. This literally just tastes like a fruit smoothie. But with that being said, I think my final rating on this guy, I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. I really, really do enjoy it. If you can get your hands on this one from Imprint and The Answer, you may seem weary just because of the color, but I'm telling you right now that it's an absolutely delicious, fantastic fruited sour. Not really having too much tartness, so this is a perfect introductory beer to somebody who doesn't like the taste of beer or doesn't want something too tart or sour. And if you want really, really heavily fruited and really, really strong with fruity flavors, this is going to be the go-to beer for you. If you love tropical fruit, you're going to absolutely love this one. So big shout-outs to The Answer and Imprint for coming out with this one. They did an absolutely fantastic job. I love the kind of twist of adding the spirulina in there, just to kind of add different ingredients that you wouldn't expect into a beer and make it work. So big shout-outs to them for actually being able to pull that off. But other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. It would help me out a lot. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, along with that notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I go live to another review. I don't think I have reviews planned for tomorrow because I'm going into work, so I may have some towards the end of the week, so keep an eye out for that. But other than that, yeah, you could follow me on all my social media platforms. Like, you hear me like when I talk about my Instagram and all that kind of stuff. That's where you'll see what I'm gonna be reviewing that day. Of course, you'll see the hand checks that I do. Plus, every once in a while, you'll see me do a couple story updates when it comes to what's going on at Fibs. So whether it comes to either brewing or bottle or changing things over to the fermenter, kegging, all that kind of stuff, cleaning kegs. I'm trying to get a little bit more up to date with that kind of stuff. Weirdest beer ever, top review. Thanks. Yeah, definitely, and it's definitely a weird one, but it tastes absolutely fantastic. But of course, you can shoot me a follow on my Instagram, and then Next, of course, you haven't heard me talk about Untappd before. Absolutely love that platform. I like to call it Facebook for beer drinkers. It's an absolutely fantastic thing that the people at Untappd are doing over there. You can check in beers, get badges, all that kind of stuff. It's really, really fun, and just it's very versatile to use and very, very easy to use. So if you're a craft beer lover and haven't gotten yourself on Untappd yet, I highly, highly recommend it. And plus, if you want to possibly get your hands on some stuff from Imprint, I know Tavour is an option. I know Tavour varies just because of availability depending on the area you're in when it comes to them shipping the beer to you. So you kind of just got to go on Tavour's website, create your account. They'll let you know right away if you can get stuff shipped to you from them. And all the beers and all the breweries that Tavour has the options to kind of ship to you is just awesome. The variety is great. So many great breweries on there. So I highly recommend getting yourself on Tavour to see if you can get stuff shipped to you from them, because they're just great people over there as well. Last but not least, of course, the best way I'm going to recommend you guys, if you guys want to support me, the best way I think is going to be over at the Patreon. You guys hear me talk about the Patreon a lot by now. I started like maybe a month or two ago trying to get things moving on there. So if you want to support me, help get more beer in my hands, plus helping get some beer in your hands when you join the Patreon, because I do monthly craft beer giveaways over there, so you can get your hands on a 4-pack of Illinois exclusive craft beer per month, and the higher tier you join, the better opportunity you have to win. So the link to the Patreon is down in the description below. That would be the best way to support me. But other than that, yeah, I think that is pretty much what I have for you guys today. So again, thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are amazing. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. And thank you everybody who's going to be watching the replay as well. You guys are awesome. But I'm going to end this like I always do before we get the hell out of here. If you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And I'll see y'all next time. Cheers.